Her sisters deny her and laugh at her in public because of her color. Gather close, dear friends. Let me tell you the story of a girl they called Cursed. The girl her sisters denied in the public. She was born with hair white as moon ash, like the ghost hairs, and eyes like the ghost light that dances on water. Her sisters, 3 of them, were flowers kissed by the sun. But her, they said she was a spirit, Afi, a mistake, something the earth had spat out wrong. They laughed when she walked by, laughed harder when she tripped beneath the sun, her skin burning like dry leaves in Harmattan fire. She was an albino from birth. That was her only crime. She was totally different from her sisters. They said she was a spirit child, born by mistake. She is a shame to the 3 proud sisters. While her sisters shimmered like morning dew, Ocha's skin cracked beneath the sun like burning paper. Red oil, burnt moon, born by mistake. Her sisters mocked and taunted her always, everywhere. At the stream, they denied her when she tripped and fell because the harsh sun didn't let her see. In the village square, they turned their backs. Even at home, her own blood pretended not to see her. But hear this well. They didn't know that slowly, gently, they were carving gold into her bones. Even the Ede community never believed that the white-collar girl they laughed at would soon light them and the whole world. Welcome to Ideka African Folktales. Please, don't go without hitting the like button and share the story. A long time ago, in a village of Ede, where the sun was golden and the women were proud, a baby girl was born. She did not cry when she came out of her mother's womb, not even a whimper, just silence. And in that silence, something cracked. Her mother, Ebere, looked down and gasped. The midwife stepped back. Her father did not speak. Even the wind outside the hut grew still, like it came to watch. Her father frowned. It was a boy she was expecting, not a snow-white mistake. They had 3 beautiful daughters at home already. He had hoped the gods would bless them this time with a boy. And now, a girl, not even a normal girl. This child was not like the others. Her skin was pale, paler than the inside of a yam. Her eyes shimmered like river water at night. Her hair was not black, not brown, but white, like ash after fire. It curled softly, like the cotton that grew by the river. She was an albino, a rare type. They named her Ocha. It means pure, white. But the name did not come with joy. It came with confusion, with fear. Some people said she was a spirit child, one of those who come from the other side to visit and then disappear. Others whispered she was punishment. Maybe her mother had stepped into the forbidden forest while pregnant, or bathed in the wrong river. Or maybe she wronged an albino or laughed at them. Tongues wagged endlessly about her birth. Her father did not carry her. He was angry at her birth, but not anymore. Yet, he refused to carry her even once. Maybe because she didn't look like other babies. Only her mother held her. Yes, she had no choice, but not like the others. Not tight, not full of warmth. She held Ocha like she was something that might vanish, like a difficult task giving to a child to do.
Her sisters came into the room one by one. 3 girls, all beautiful, all golden brown with long limbs and soft laughter and glowing skin that sparkled in the sun. They looked at the white child. Then they looked at each other. No one said it, but all of them knew. Ocha is different. She did not belong. They too avoided her like their father and left her alone to their mother to take care of. Ocha grew like a wildflower nobody planted. She was quiet, not because she had no voice, but because there was no room for it. Every time she opened her mouth, the world flinched, so she learned silence before she learned words. At the market, women stopped talking when she passed. They would stare at her white hair, her light eyes. Some shook their heads, some clicked their tongues. One woman once said loud enough for Ocha to hear, "Spirit children don't live long." Pregnant women avoided her like a deadly plague. They said she could turn their unborn babies to become like her, so they never crossed path with her. At school, it was worse. Children laughed when she entered. They pointed at her eyes and called her ghost eyes. Others refused to sit beside her. Some ran away when her shadow touched theirs. Even some teachers would pause sometimes, staring too long before calling her name, especially the village recruits. But others were kind to her. But the deepest cut was from home. Her sisters never let her sit with them under the mango tree. When they played, they never called her. When they danced, they never looked at her. And when she spoke, they rolled their eyes. "She's too bright," Ada, the eldest, would say. "Like chalk in the dark," Amaka would whisper. Or even worse, "Like a ghost with bones, she's the opposite of the black sheep in idiomatic expression. She is the white sheep of the family." Ijeoma added once, not knowing Ocha was listening.
But she was always listening, always watching, learning that she was the wrong kind of light, one that made others squint, recoil, and whisper. Sometimes, Ocha would stand in front of the cracked mirror in the hallway, tracing her face with trembling fingers. She would whisper to herself, "Why me? Was I born broken? God, did you forget to finish me?" She didn't cry much, not out loud, but at night, her pillow was never dry. She once asked her mother, "Am I really your daughter?" Abere looked away. "You were born from me, Ocha. That's all I can say." She didn't say yes. Ocha's worst place was not the market. It was not the school, had the pity of some teachers who always protected her and punished anyone who bullied her. It was the stream, the village stream where there was no rule, no decker. That place where girls became sisters and some became monsters, where laughter bounced off the water like song and secrets flowed between hands beating cloth on smooth stone. But not for Ocha. For her, the stream was where the sun punished and the world laughed. Her three sisters always walked ahead, faster so she wouldn't catch up with them. Their hips swayed like palm fronds dancing to wind. They laughed, throwing heads back, their teeth white, their skin glowing under the sky. Other girls joined them, following like bees to sweet fruit. But Ocha? Ocha walked behind, like a shadow that didn't belong to anybody. She carried her bucket with both hands. The wrapper she wore was old, the edges torn. She kept her head down because her eyes hurt in the sun. Her hair was light like smoke, and her skin too pale for the fire in the sky. The sun didn't just burn her, it bit her. That day, the sun was angry. The path to the stream was long and dry. Ocha's bare feet were already sore. Her hands trembled from the weight of the empty bucket. Still, she followed. Still, she hoped. Maybe today they would look back and wait. Maybe today her sisters would laugh with her, not at her. But hope is a fragile thing. And that day, it broke. She didn't see the stone in the path. Her foot caught it. She tripped. She fell hard, face first into the dust beside the water. The whole stream saw it. And the laughter? It came like thunder, loud and unkind. "Red oil, you go melt under this sun, oh. See burnt moon rolling in the dust. Eyes like ghost, now us you they look, I be not a tree. Who carried this thing come stream today?" She sat in the dirt, her wrapper stained, her knee bleeding, her bucket rolling away. She looked up, not to cry, but to search for kindness. But her sisters? Her own blood? They laughed the loudest. Ada, the eldest, clapped her hands and bent over laughing. Amaka, the middle one, pointed at Ocha like she was a joke. Ijeoma, the youngest before her, shook her head and said,
Ocha! Rainfall! She has fallen! She has done it again! White like chalk! We don't know her, oh! She is not our sister! That day, Ijema called her name at the stream Ocha, meaning white, in a way that stung. She never answered, but the name stayed, like smoking cloth, like thorns in foot, like a scar.
From that day, she began to wear long wrappers that covered her arms, even when the heat made her dizzy. She stopped going to the stream. She walked fast through the village. She spoke only when someone asked her to. And even then, her voice was small. She began to live like a shadow inside her own body. But shame is not water. You cannot wash it off. Shame is like a tree that grows inside a child. It starts small, quiet, but the roots grow deep, and the branches grow wide. They twist around the heart, they bend the head, they silence the voice. And Ocha? Her roots ran deep. She thought maybe if she was smaller, quieter, softer, maybe she would stop being a burden. Maybe they would stop laughing. But even when she disappeared into herself, the world still saw her difference. They saw it, and they mocked it. And that was how the barns, past the trees, past the path the village children used, past the places where people still had names for her, like Ghost, Ash, Spirit Child. She didn't know where her feet were taking her. She just wanted to disappear. But fate is a strange traveler. It sometimes waits where we least expect. And that day, fate was sweeping leaves near a forgotten shrine. Ocha stopped when she saw her. An old woman, bent but not broken, skin like roasted plantain, eyes deep like river water, hair gray as clouds before rain. She was sweeping the shrine of the forest mothers, a place no one went anymore, the kind of place people feared, the kind they whispered about but never visited. The old woman looked up. She didn't look at Ocha's skin. She looked straight into her eyes, and then she smiled. A full smile. No mockery, no fear, no whisper. Just warmth. "Ah, so this is the child," she said, as if she had been waiting. "The one whose soul is too bright for common eyes." Ocha froze. No one had ever said anything like that. Not ever. The old woman dropped her broom and came closer. "Do you know, child," she said, her voice like rustling leaves, "that diamonds hide in sand, that pearls come from pain, that not all gold glitters, and not all light burns?" Ocha blinked, unsure if she should run or cry. The woman pulled something from the folds of her wrapper. A small mirror. But it was not the shiny kind the market women used. It was carved from old wood, shaped like a moon, with patterns around the edge that danced when the light touched them. She pressed it into Ocha's palm. "Keep this," she said. "One day your reflection will not just show your face, it will save a nation." Ocha wanted to laugh, or ask questions, or hand it back. But something inside her, something quiet and old, told her to take it. So she did. She held it close to her chest and nodded. "Thank you," she whispered. "You don't need their eyes to see who you are. Your light is only hidden because the world is not ready. But it will be, one day and very soon." And just like that, the woman turned back to her broom. Ocha left with the mirror pressed against her ribs. She didn't tell anyone. She didn't know how to explain it. But from that day, something began to change. She still walked with her head low, but she started looking into things, into books, into stars, into words. While the village girls danced at moonlight and painted their eyes for suitors, Ocha read by the hearth's glow. She read stories about sunlight and skin, about vision and wind, about heat, pain, and the science of things people didn't bother to understand. She learned to draw diagrams in the dust. She taught herself to listen to the world in ways no one else did. Time passed. Her sisters bloomed like sunflowers. Ada married a rich palm wine trader. Amaka courted a soldier. Ijeoma became the village beauty queen. But Ocha?
Ocha remained the ghost girl with her face in books. Until one morning, a convoy of strange-looking vehicles came into the village. Men and women stepped down, wearing glasses and speaking English too fast. The government had come. They were starting a solar energy project, something big, something bright, something hot. They needed people from the village who could help explain things. They needed translators, people who understood light, people who understood how heat touched the skin differently, people who had vision problems and could explain sun sensitivity. Nobody fit. Nobody, except Ocha. When they asked for volunteers, the village laughed. Ask Ghost Girl. She dare read past all of us. So they called her, and Ocha stood up, slowly, mirror in her pocket. She answered their questions perfectly. She explained her condition. She explained what it meant to see the world through eyes that burn. She spoke with fire and grace, not because anyone taught her, but because pain had been her teacher. The officials looked at one another. They nodded and smiled. And just like that, the girl they used to mock became the one they needed. She was taken to the city to help with research on solar adaptation. Her insight, shaped by years of surviving the sun's cruelty, was revolutionary. She wasn't just consulted, she became the face of the campaign. Soon she was giving talks, writing papers, TV, radio, magazine covers. Many years passed, and one morning, the village road rumbled. A big black SUV rolled in, shiny like rain after Harmattan. Children stopped playing. Market women paused. Men dropped their chewing sticks. The car door opened slowly, and Ocha stepped out. White hair, still soft as silk, wrapped neatly in fine scarf. She wore clothes that fit like honor. Her shoes made no dust. Her skin still bright, still hers, glowing with care, not bleach. She smiled, not a small smile, but the kind that forgives before it speaks. The village has gasped. Now who be that? Is that not... Wait. Ocha, our own Ocha. Ocha, our daughter. The women chorus, clutching their wrappers with one hand. But she was no longer that Ocha they used to know. Not that Afi girl. Why Afi? She walked with the grace of someone who no longer feared the sun. Her eyes, once like frightened cat, now held the calm of rain before dawn. Her sister stood at the compound gate, lips parted, voices trapped inside shame. Ada, once the proud one, hid her face. Amaka turned her head. Her husband drove her away because of her bad mouthing. Ijama, the one who once mocked her most, tried to smile. But Ocha only bowed her head slightly, then looked to the women beside her. They carried boxes, gifts for the village, medicines, books, solar kits, mirrors. These are for the children, she said. So no child here will have to hide from the sun the way I did. An elder stepped forward. It was Mama Ezine, the midwife who once said Ocha was a spirit child. Tears filled her eyes. We wronged you, my daughter, she said, but you have returned in beauty. From now on, I call you Adalgo, the daughter of Igbo. And the people clapped. Not just hands, but hearts. Even the wind seemed to hush. Even the sun softened. That evening, children gathered round her. They touched her head, gently now, not with fear, but with wonder. And she told them stories of how the same thing that nearly destroyed her became the key that opened every door. Ocha stood at the front of the town hall, her voice calm like still water. The hall was packed, not just with villagers,
but with elders, chiefs, teachers, and mothers who held pale children close to their sides. She stood in gold, but her spirit wore white, pure, steady, undimmed. The light bounced off her skin, and this time it did not sting, it glowed. Her sisters sat in the front row, heads low, eyes red. They were not crying tears of joy. No, these tears were bitter, like unripe fruit. They wept because the laughter they once threw like stones had become thorns in their throats. They wept because the girl they pushed into silence now held the room with her breath. After the speech, they came forward. They tried to hug her. Their arms opened wide like a memory trying to change its ending. Ocha, we were young then, we behaved our age, I just whispered. We didn't mean the names, Amaka added. Forgive us, Ijama said, her voice cracking like old wood. Ocha smiled, but not the kind of smile that forgets everything. It was the kind that sees everything and chooses peace anyway. Her father stood afar off, filled with guilt. Since the return of Ocha, he had refused to neither eat nor drink. For the first time, he looked face to face with her, and a streak of tears dropped from his eyes.
He saw the fatherly vacuum in her eyes. Ocha had forgiven, but his conscience still haunted him. What pricked her heart more was the SUV car she bought for him. Yes, Ocha bought a new car for her father. The albino daughter he never wanted had become the chief cornerstone of his family. Come, Papa, you will always be my father. Ocha held her father from where he had been standing and watching from afar. The stone the builders rejected, she said softly. The crowd, those who knew the old words, whispered the rest with her, has become the chief cornerstone. With the prize money and support she gained from her work, Ocha built a mansion for her parents. She also built something no one had ever seen in their village before. It was not a palace. It was not a school. It was a house made of stories, a sanctuary for children with albinism, children with impaired vision, children who are homeless. She called it the Mirror Project. Inside it were wide, cool rooms with no harsh light. Books lined the walls, stories of heroes who looked like her. Gardens where the sun was kind, and at the very center, nailed into the largest wall, was the carved wooden mirror the old woman had given her long ago. Every child who entered was asked to do one thing before they left: stand before the mirror and look. At first, many turned away, just like she once did. But slowly, over time, they began to see not their skin, not their hair, not their eyes. They saw light. And above the mirror were words, carved in Ocha's own hand, shaky but strong. What they laughed at will light the world. Now mothers travel from faraway villages, carrying children, wrapped in scarves to the Mirror Project home. Fathers who once hid their pale sons and daughters now walk tall with high hopes. And Ocha, she sits under the tree near the shrine, sometimes the one where the old woman once swept. She tells stories, to children, to strangers, to herself. She is still soft, but she is never small again. Her sisters visit her often. They help with the center now, not because they must, but because they want to. Because they've learned what they almost destroyed. And every time a child finds joy in their own skin, Ocha looks at the mirror and remembers the laughter, the pain, the fall at the stream, and smiles. And one more great news. Not long after Ocha returned with pride in her step and gold in her heart, another wind began to blow through Ede village. But this time, it was not gossip. No, it was joy. It was news that danced from mouth to mouth like palm wine on celebration lips. They said Ocha's suitor was coming from the city. Not just any man, a big man, a man who sat with kings, who wore agbada that whispered like rivers when he walked, a man whose name opened gates, whose smile made elders nod and say, this one is going places. And now he was coming for Ocha, the same Ocha, the Afi girl they once laughed at. The women could not hold themselves. They carried the news like firewood on their heads, everywhere. Did you hear? About Ocha, that same Ocha, the one with the white hair, the albino that built mansion for her parents. Ocha is marrying a lion, no? Wonder shall never end. On that day, her father's compound became a drum of footsteps. Mothers brought pots and pestles. Aunties tied gele that could touch the sky. Girls brought palm oil, yams, wrappers, kola nuts. Even those who once turned their backs, yes, even her sisters, were busy tying decorations, smiling like nothing ever happened. It would be a wedding the whole village would remember. Cows were slaughtered, palm wine flowed like rain.
Songs were already being practiced under the moonlight. The drummers warmed their hands, the dancers oiled their waists. And Ocha? She walked through it all like a queen born from thunder and forgiveness. Her white hair glowed like light from the ancestors. Her face peaceful, her eyes steady. No bitterness, only strength. People watched her and said, truly, the one they called Ghost is now the bride of the gods. Even the sky, that day, stayed bright, as if the sun too came to kneel and watch. Now, dear listeners and viewers, I hope you learned something. When next you see someone different, skin like milk, eyes like moonlight, voice like a wounded flute, will you laugh or will you listen?